We now take you live to the Central Texas Command Center and the heart of the resistance, rallying patriots worldwide. You're listening to the Alex Jones Show.
We're live. It's Friday, September 3rd, 2010. Coming up in about an hour and a half in studio, Paul Velty, the founder and the head of a wonderful Second Amendment organization in Texas, fighting for decades for liberty, Peaceable Texans for Firearms Rights, will be in studio. He's an attorney, and he's been closely following a case that we've also been tracking here, and I've met the individual. When they wanted to shut down the gun show that had been here for close to 2 decades in North Austin, they would send in stings of illegal aliens with Texas IDs saying they were citizens, and it's legal and lawful to then sell in a private sale if you say you're a citizen and the person selling to you isn't a gun dealer, just a private citizen selling their firearms. They call it the gun show loophole to sell, but they don't care. And I see this all the time. People are convicted of things that are not illegal. I have seen cases where people have been indicted and it's gone to court and the judge has instructed the jury that they have committed a crime and basically told the jury to convict them, which judges aren't supposed to do. In the case of Kelly Rushing, handing out a VHS tape, this was 8 years ago, back when VHS was still around, a VHS tape with Ron Paul 45-minute speech called Neocon on the House floor and my film Road to Tyranny. And he was charged with 2 counts of threatening law enforcement. They said Ron Paul's speech was threatening. This was in the newspapers in Kentucky, like it, with a straight face, like it was reasonable. Not like, hey, this is the Soviet Union. This is wrong. No, the news was, thank goodness, that Kelly Rushing, no criminal record, upstanding family, business owner, would walk up to state police and give them the video and say, please watch this. It's important for you and your family. And they said that it was a threat to law enforcement and disrespectful. So he was charged with being disrespectful. I mean, that's what the judge said, but the actual charge was terroristic threats. And it went to the jury, and they said no on both counts. Not in the case of this gentleman, and Paul Velty's going to be covering it today. He's got a press release that he called me last night with that he wanted us to post at Infowars.com. And the headline is, Feds convict Texan for selling a gun to an illegal alien with Texas driver's license. And they used this to then shut down the gun show. They had threatened the owners of the venue that were leasing the space once a month to the Saxet, great folks. And when the intimidation wouldn't work, they just staged this event. And it's absolutely terrible that this poor man is facing... 6 months in a, quote, federal work camp. I guess he'll probably go out to Bastrop out there on this, built onto the side of the military base. The Federal Correctional Facility, Camp Swift, is one of their little work camps. So we're going to be discussing that coming up. I've also got a guest on who came up with these, and I think it's a genius idea. Number one, I'm not going through a naked body scanner. Kind of like with the thumb scanners. A lot of people say, well, if you've got a thumb scan to get a driver's license, all you've got to do is put super glue on your thumb, and then they're not going to get a real thumb scan. And people do that, put a couple of layers of super glue, and it looks clear, but it blocks out the scan. The people aren't paying attention behind the counter. I went ahead and got a license about 5 years ago. I'd gone for 6 years without one, and it was causing a real problem to fly and get my job done. So in this whole secret police grid, I just went ahead and walked in and barely put my thumb down, and they didn't even pay attention that they didn't get a scan. I mean, I wasn't even really touching. I just barely put it on there, and I'll guarantee you they didn't get a scan. But that's one way to do it. But I recommend legislation against the illegal federal ID cards. That's what I think is important, is not try to get around things. I mean, you can do that while you're at it. But the main attack is pointing out this is a police state, has nothing to do with stopping illegals, as they rolled it out across the country back in the mid-'90s, claiming it was for that. You've obviously noticed it's not for that. They're issued their separate consular matriculas and are above the law. But they've come out with underwear for men and women with scanner-proof it's impregnated, I guess, with lead, or I'll ask the inventor later, I'm not quite sure, some type of metal, and it does work, and it blocks out the scanners, so the perverts in the government don't get shots of your genitals. That's some granny panties right there, ladies and gentlemen. That'll be a YouTube hit right there. So we've got a guest popping in on this subject later. Perhaps I'll have some of the staff wear these on your head, you know, to protect you from the radiation as well. All right, that's enough. And they come in multiple colors. And I'm trying to get these folks as a sponsor. But the point is that I hope this catches on, because it'll make the TSA really angry. And they'll probably say, oh, no, you're not allowed to cover your genitals up. You know, they already lied and said we can't see your genitals. Now they admit they look at the genitals to make sure it's tuned. They look for those details as part of their handbook. And they are saving all the images. They lied about that. Here's another one. This is hands covering up your genitals. It's, again, imprinted on the underwear. Pretty soon they'll say this is paraphernalia and it's illegal, probably. You know, you've got to let the devils in the government and Homeland Security do all of this. Okay, let me stop screwing around here, because this is a serious radio transmission, and we are dealing with serious issues here. We have seen a mega hit piece by Nightline. Nightline is the most viewed television news program, broadcast television. It reaches conservatively 7 million people a night. That's conservatively what it reaches, and they also, I'm told, have been airing pieces of this on the ABC nightly news. I'm kind of proud of myself. It was about 9:30 when I got word that in about an hour, 10:30 Central Time, Nightline was coming on. It took my wife and I about an hour to get the television set working for us to be able to even watch it after the children had been put to bed. It took an hour to get the TV working to watch television. That'll give you an idea how much TV I watch. In the garage, where I run on the treadmill almost every morning, the only way I can make myself run is to watch movies, typically action movies, things like that, so I can kind of shift into suspended disbelief and forget that I'm jogging, something I hate to do. So I do probably watch 45 minutes a day of television, and it's just all laced with propaganda and conditioning, and I do learn quite a bit about what the system's doing. And I do watch excise clips of a spectrum of international television, national, local television on YouTube and Google every day, and then I send those select clips of things that I think are important to Kurt Nimmo, Paul Watson, Steve Watson, Aaron Dykes via IM, or I call them and say, post this, please. So I am watching television. I am up on what they're doing, but I tend to watch boil downs of it. So I did spend an hour, and we were able to tune in with the to the digital TV with the digital rabbit ears and actually catch what was going on there on Nightline. And I was a little concerned, because there's been some vicious hit pieces in the past that do the old frontal assault. This guy wants to kill cops. This guy might be a secret white supremacist. This guy might be in league with Chinese jet pilots from Pluto. This guy believes in chupacabras and aliens. I mean, that's one of their most popular disinfo things, is that I'm a UFOologist, when we don't even cover that here. When he's not covering chupacabras and little green men, he thinks the government's poisoning your water. This piece is more sophisticated. Number one, with these TV pieces, they must put an obesity lens on me. I mean, I'm not svelte. I'm not toit, as Fat Bastard would say in one of those, what were those stupid movies? Where they make jokes about Austin Powers, yes. But certainly they put the fat bleeper lens on me every time I'm on television. And I know what these $100,000 cameras do. If they're tuned right, it actually doesn't add 10 pounds to you, but they do something that always adds about 20 pounds to me, which I always think's comical. So they did that. They did unflattering shots. Anybody that's in television knows this. They did some basic stuff like that. They put this out-of-context clip where I said either Hitler's good or Hitler's bad, giving you the idea that I'm into Hitler. They use some fascist-looking iconography from the Obama deception to describe that's what I'm pushing, when I'm actually showing the globalist in a fascist light with fascist-looking graphics. So there's all the visual things they were doing. And they, of course, prejudiced the entire piece in the opening salvo by saying, you know, if somebody's screaming this on a street corner, you just think, oh, this guy's a lunatic kook, and keep walking and shake your head. But this guy's got a radio show, at least reaching 1 million people a day. That's what I told them, 2 million a day. That's what our analysis shows. But they went out and researched, and they think it's 1 million a day. Whatever. And we told them 200 million just of my films being seen on YouTube and Google. It's probably 300, 400 million. We don't know if you count everything. And so they played that down as well. But still, oh, he reaches a lot of people. He's dangerous. And he's the purveyor of pessimism porn. Or a new term, paranoia porn. I'm sorry, that's Gerald Celente and others that criticize derivatives and the end of the Glass-Steagall Act and private banks being able to issue trillions in fake counterfeit money. They call that pessimism porn if you criticize government or the economy or unemployment or toxic waste or the Gulf spill or anything. That's pessimism. No, I'm paranoia porn. I'm a purveyor. You know, the stuff that we put on air, you got to put in a black bag when you leave the shop. Porn, you know, that idea of it needs to be censored, it needs to be put in a red light district, it needs to be curtailed, and then, oh, I can cause people to commit violence. And so they just go down the line, a 6.5-minute piece that is a window into pure brainwashing. Stay with us.